So Clubhouse is great, but it is certainly not perfect. There are a ton of shady people doing a lot of shady things, ripping off a ton of people that don't even know they're being ripped off. So that's exactly why we made this video. This is a collaboration I did with Matthew Cox, former FBI's most wanted, who made over $12 million committing mortgage fraud and a ton of other money doing other scams or fraudulent activity. So he knows the ins and outs of what makes these scams tick, what to look out for, and the warning signs that you should expect to see. And when you do see, run the other way. Don't buy the product, don't buy the service, and don't buy the dream that these gurus are selling to you. Matthew drops a ton of personal insight on this, and it'll give you a way better opportunity to go into Clubhouse, get the value that's there, and not be susceptible to the risk, which is very, very real and very present on Clubhouse. So enjoy the video, go check Matthew out on his socials, and use Clubhouse, but use it wisely. So Matt, you are probably the best person to speak to about this. Why should people in general be concerned about Clubhouse?
It's a new forum of social media, and I think the major issue with it is that because you're being invited in, you feel safe. It's like if I were to go to your house, you invite me to a party and I walk in and there's 10 or 15 people there, I immediately think, oh, well, these are Ben's friends. And so it's okay. I mean, Ben invited me here and these are all his buddies. So we're all connected and it's exclusive. So it's safe. So if I start talking to some investment banker about investing, and he says, oh yeah, what if he may even say, Ben, oh yeah, Ben invests with me. Or, oh yeah, I've been friends with Ben forever. And you may not even know this guy, but I automatically believe him because it is exclusive, because we're in your room or your house. And as a result, it's like skipping the first and second date and going straight to the third date. It's like, we've got everything established. It's jumping right in there. And I think it's an issue, because like I said, it's this exclusivity.
Yeah, I think right before we hop in this call, you said something that really changed my outlook on everything, is the fact that really people are just transitioning scams they're doing offline, but it just makes it way easier because of Clubhouse and how it's designed. So I'd love for you to speak about that a little bit if you could.
First of all, I mean, look, scams have been around obviously forever, but one of them that comes to mind and is something called the Nigerian scam, or they call it a 419 scam, which is based on the criminal code in Nigeria that deals with fraud. And back in the 70s, these guys would mail a massive amount of letters out to US citizens saying that they were a lawyer who represented some prince or some heir to the throne of Chad or Nigeria or whatever, one of these African countries, and that the leader had just been killed, and that there was money in an account in London, and the barrister was also killed, and you happen to have the same name as that barrister. That's why we're contacting you. So if you would be so gracious as to allow us to transfer the money into your account, you can take 10% and just transfer it back. And, you get to keep 10%. And so you're thinking, and they'd say something ridiculous, $50 million. So you think, well, it's worth it. It's worth letting them do this. And they would let we're trying to basically get around the law, because otherwise the government's going to end up with this money. It's not fair. It's this person, but the law says this, but we just need your help. And you're talking to an attorney, so you think, okay, it's okay. It's okay. It's an attorney. So next thing you know, you give them all your banking information and you tell them they can transfer the money. And then just before it happens, they say, oh, well, from your bank account, you need to transfer the taxes for the wire transfer. And it's minuscule. It's $1,500 or whatever it is. The next thing you know, you're transferring money to these people, and then they're gone. Well, that was done through letters back in the 70s and 80s and 90s. And then it became emails. And then now it's evolved. It's past email. Now it's transitioned into these different social media. These scams have evolved, and now it's ended up with these false gurus, where you've got a bunch of guys in the room, and 3 of the guys that were also invited in the room, so they must be good. They're talking about how they've made so much money with this guru. Oh yeah, I invested. I gave him this much money in real estate, and it took about 18 months or 6 months, but I got back this much money. And the great thing is, it was always secured by real estate. And you're like, wow, well, this guy, he's there. And this other guy, this guy's always online. That's another thing, is these guys are always online. How do you stay in a chat for 18 hours a day, 7 days a week? Doesn't that seem odd?
That's the biggest thing for me. That like that's where I've always been like, that doesn't make sense. I know people watching this, they instantly go to a place where that'll never happen to me. Like I'm too smart to get tricked by this. Could you speak to a little bit about that?
Well, that's the issue too. That it's always like, oh, people say, oh, well, they focus on old people,
Mm,
or people aren't that smart. Oh, it's some guy who's not that smart and he invested. No, it's doctors, it's lawyers, it's educated people, it's people that have money. Because a lot of times the scam, it actually makes sense. If it was true and it worked the way they said it worked, you could easily see how you could make money.
mm,
If you invest in, let's say, some company, let's say Apple is about to buy some company and they're going to start creating battery operated cars, or they're going to do something that's like, wow, Apple's going to take that on, they're going to make it, and they're going to purchase an existing company, and that company's on the stock market, and I have an inside track from a lawyer that works at Apple. If he's telling me buy the stock, it's going to shoot up.
you're gonna do it.
You realize that works. That happens all the time. That's the inside track. It's illegal, but you're not thinking on those lines. You're thinking, I was at a party and I was at Ben's house. Ben's buddy, who's a stockbroker who says he works at Apple, is giving me this information. Told me he even bought some of the stock through his aunt. Man, I have no connection to this guy. So what's the name of the company? So what do? You go out and you buy the stock. Well, of course, Apple never buys this thing, and the stock gets dumped 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, a month later, your money's gone. Had that been a real scenario and Apple really bought that company, your $10,000 could have been worth $100,000 or $200,000.
Mm.
But it was never true.
Yeah, and you bought it because you believed it to be, and you'd almost feel like you're stupid if you were not to do it, and that's the issue.
Right.
So many people hop in.
How horrible would that be? You don't do it.
Exactly.
Shoots up. I always talk to these guys with Bitcoin. I could have bought Bitcoin at $30.
Yeah.
Now it's trading at 2,300 or something ridiculous. It's
No,
like,
that's true, and it happens all the time. And I think that's people are so afraid of the loss that they'll do whatever it takes to avoid that. And so a few points that you touched on that I'd love for you to dive a little deeper on here: how it's situated, like the exclusive nature of it, the invite piece, and also like how it's positioned, where speakers are automatically like literally on top of you. Can you speak to speaker bias and then what people should be looking out for with all that?
speaker bias, and just in general, not even on Clubhouse, is that if you were to show up at the Radisson and the guy gets on stage, just like when your teacher in high school, or middle school, stands in front of the class, you think this is an expert. The truth is that person has a college degree or a teaching certificate or something, is teaching. And truth is they're not that, probably don't have that much more knowledge than anybody else. If you're standing on the stage and you've got these books and you've got this course and you've got these people running around, handing you documents and signing people in, you seem like an expert. You can convince anybody that you're an expert if you just have a little bit more knowledge on a subject than they do. That's all you really need. These guys get up, they're confidence men. They speak confidently. They're sure of what they're selling. They don't back down. They're charismatic. And they get up on stage and people automatically think, wow, this guy's amazing. And then of course you have the shills come in and then they start buying the products. And you have the ropers and you have what guys call bumpers, which are like pushing guys like, man, that's amazing, bro. I can't believe this guy. Man, I need to buy that. And then somebody else is like, man, I'm going to buy it. You get overwhelmed. The next thing you know, you're buying it.
I think that's even more amplified on Clubhouse because of a few features that we've touched on briefly, because they have full control over the room. Can you speak to that and the impact that has?
Oh yeah, well they obviously they're running the room, so the speaker, he gets to pick who the moderator is. He gets to pick who else speaks. He gets to choose the people that he wants to speak. And if anybody gets on there and starts causing problems or is talking out of line or trying to dissuade other members or saying anything contrary, he can force them, or he can, I almost said evict. He can kick them out of the room. So he can eject them from the room and say, okay, well, this guy's causing problems. Bloop, he's gone. So you really get to manipulate that whole environment in a way that you don't really get to do in person. So it really works, overall, it really works, to help hype up that whole system and make you seem like you're just this expert guy and you're charismatic and you're amazing and everybody's buying, and it feeds into that whole the whole system. And people don't listen to their instincts. People just don't listen to their instincts. You think it's too good to be true, and then you go for it anyway. I had a buddy in federal prison who was there for running a scam which involved Red Bull. And he said, you know what's funny about people? Just like what you just said, he said, people are more afraid of missing out on an opportunity than they are on risking their life savings. And the other thing was, a lot of these guys, these high pressure sales, you got to do it now. Now it's limited. You're going to get a huge discount. I mean, discounts are massive.
The 99% off type stuff.
Yeah, it's outrageous. I mean, you just have to listen to your instinct. That's the problem, is that people they're just too concerned about missing out on an opportunity.
A lot of these gurus, they actually have made a ton of money. And that's not what we're saying here is the issue. The issue is how they're making said money. A lot of people, they get sold this dream. They don't realize that they're buying the dream because of situations like this, where they can get fluffed up and everyone can just feed the dream.
You're funding the illusion that they're selling you. I mean, you're the one funding it. Most of these guys that have money are not flashy. They're not huge, flashy guys. Who's going around take pictures of me in my private jet? Make sure you put them on Instagram. Let's do the selfie. Let's do this. They're propagating. It's part of it's the whole sales pitch. It's the whole scam.
You're exactly right. What they'll do is they'll help people to also create that illusion. But they don't understand, like, the people below are funneling both the creation of the guru and then the guru's little accomplices that are only being fed from this corrupt, messed up system, because people keep feeding this BS.
Yeah, it's the ropers. It's, yeah, I did the same thing and he's amazing and I'm making a bunch of money. Why? Because I bought his course. It's the best $1,200 I ever spent.
Can you provide like a few red flags that you should be on high alert for whenever you're in a room?
I think if you're in a room and you've got multiple people that are pushing this individual with him, really it's your intuition. But it's these other people that are pushing the speaker's agenda. I also think that if it sounds too good to be true, making money is hard work. I have a story about real estate. A long time ago, there used to be a guy on TV and he would talk about how he bought a house for $1. Right. And he would tell this whole story. And I actually have those stories where I actually had like an investor that came to me and said, look, I've got these 2 properties I foreclosed on. I just want to get rid of them. And I said, well, if you own or finance them 100%, I'll take them. He gave them to me for 100%. I actually went to closing and actually walked away with money at closing, because the way taxes are paid in Florida, they're paid retroactively. So I actually got money at closing. So I walked away with a few $100s. I put one of them on the MLS and renovated the other one. But the fact is the one I put on the MLS sold and made $10,000 within 2 weeks. The other one, I did a little bit of renovation, sold it, made $150,000. So I had I had really no money in these properties. That sounds amazing. You think, wow, Matt, that's amazing. I'd been flipping properties for 3, maybe 4 years. It was an absolute fluke. It never happened again. But I could tell you that story and convince you that if you bought my course, every single deal was going to be like that. I'd flipped over 150 properties at that point. This is one deal that was a fluke. That's never going to happen again. So that's what these guys are. Do I think that they're lying about some of their successes? No, I think they may be telling the truth about 1 or 2 of their successes. But how much did they bust their butt to get to the point where they got to tell that one story? It's disingenuous.
Yes.
And so I think that people don't take that into consideration. Absolutely. It sounds good. It's too good.
Yes. I love that you said that, because like there is probably some truth to this moment that they had where things changed, but it was 10 years in the making, and it was the perfect time, perfect place, perfect everything that made this come to be. And it's not something that is repeatable, but because they had that, I think what these gurus are is they're pretty good marketers. So like that's the position, is that you're buying that, but you don't understand that what you're trying to buy isn't even attainable.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was thinking, what is it? Is it Jeff? What's the guy that started Amazon?
Bezos?
Jeff Bezos. Didn't he say, doesn't he have like a famous comment? I want to say it's a famous quote by him where he says, like, most overnight successes take about 10 years.
Yeah.
Something, and that's, I don't know if he said it. I want to say it's attributed to him, but that's just the truth.
Yeah. There's no few $1,000 course that's going to get you there overnight. That's just not the case. And this has become a massive, massive problem that people are thankfully at least starting to become aware of it, but too few people do. And a few examples of that are like some creators like Mike Winnett, CoffeeZilla, a few of those guys. Can you speak to like their teachings and why it's so important?
I don't want to say going after these guys. I think they're exposing these guys. They're kind of exposing the different scams and the different, I saw one of the videos where I want to say it was a Winnett who went to like multiple different events where there were like three major gurus that were supposed to be at the event. And it was something like out of a 3-day event that they paid, say he paid a few $1,000s to go to. At the very end, like one of the guys showed up and talked for 1 hour and then left. Like, okay, all three of them weren't there for 3 days. It was a 3-day event, but one guy showed up for an hour at the end. It was something along those lines. It was just like, well, if you started adding up the numbers of how many people were there and saw how much money was brought in, you were like, wow, this is insane. And he kind of exposes that. He goes out and he says, look, this guy, this is the basic scam he's running. This is what he's doing. It's untrue. It's not, this is what you're really getting. And he goes out and he buys exactly what the course is and shows you the course and breaks it down. You very quickly realize I'm not really getting anything that I couldn't search YouTube and find.
Yeah, and just a little personal story there. There's this one conference that I know everyone knows what I'm referring to when I just say conference within this space. And a buddy of mine had gone, and I asked him how it was, and he said it was literally 3 days of being sold to, like just constant sale, buy this. And you're exactly right. Like the whole person that they were there to see spoke for like 30 minutes, and he said that all he did was literally just shit on people, where he's like, if you don't buy this, that's because you're a loser and you don't want success and you don't have what it takes. If someone's doing that to you, why are they doing that? Because they benefit from you feeling like shit, so you have to buy that.
You know, this is the big thing too with real estate, is that there's nothing new in real estate. Buy low, sell high. You know what I'm saying? There's only a few, you know, it's not a hugely complicated formula. It can't be adjusted. There's only a few ways to make money. And what really makes you money is enthusiasm. One of the most successful guys I know in real estate is not the sharpest guy. Okay. But you know what he does, what he is? He's enthusiastic about real. He loves it. He knows about it. He knows it inside and out. He lives it. He absolutely loves real estate. And he's made a ton of money doing it. And that's really what you got to realize is you can buy these courses. You can buy these courses and read the courses, but the fact of the matter is, if you're just not energetic and enthusiastic about it, you're not going to make any money. And if you're energetic and enthusiastic about what you want to do, you don't need that course.
Yeah. What is the best defense to these gurus that are promising the world?
When they go public, I think in a year or two, the stories will start coming out about how the scam artists have gone in and just slightly adjusted the basic scam and gone on to rip people off left and right. What I think the defense is, you know, it's the same thing I was saying, is it's follow your instinct, your intuition. If it feels like it's too good to be true, it probably is. Do your research. Don't get pushed into something like, oh, you got to buy now. Stop. If I have to buy now, this isn't for real. And do your research. Why do I have to buy right this second? Why can't I do an hour's worth of research or 2 hours worth of research? And why can't I check? Why can't I check online? Why can't I go look some stuff up? And are you being investigated? Is there an issue? Have you been arrested? What does the website say? Are there alternative websites to your website? Are there videos out there from victims or from people saying, because listen, there's always these YouTube victims that are saying, look, I did this, I did everything. And then he just stopped calling. Not returning calls or emails or anything. So I think you need to look into it. I think anybody that comes to you and gives you a pitch and says, give me $500 or $1,000 or $2,000, and you have to do it right this minute, I think there's something wrong there.
If it's too good to be true, it probably is. If there's high pressure, there's probably a reason why it's high pressure, and follow your instincts. That sounds like a 1, 2, 3 step guide right there.
Yeah.
Amazing. So for people listening to this, like obviously they're grateful that now they're probably less likely to get scammed. Where can they connect with you and find you on social media?
It was InsideTrueCrime.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook. And I have a YouTube channel called Matt Cox. It's not hard to get a hold of me.
Yeah, for sure. If you just type your name in, you find a ton of results. But for anybody listening to this or watching this, all of Matt's stuff will be linked in the description box. So just check that out. Go give him a follow. He drops stuff like this all the time. So do yourself a favor and save yourself some money and go subscribe to him.
All right. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Pablo, op die beat, ey.